I'll bring it to you.
We should get you the flat one.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost too late.
You've got some.
Maybe if we're here next week, we'll get you the flat one that's open with
Yeah.
just the lip.
Yeah, because it's,
Yes, I have it.
Okay.
Am I too over yet? Oh, well, you have the two pages go here. Well, what it is, right will go forward, backwards. That pause, that's
Some music stands back there. That wouldn't work either.
oh, what?
The music stands
Yeah.
wouldn't work. Someone told me at town hall that maybe 4 is not going to be. It was a rumor mill.
That one?
That Article 4 is going to be full.
Yes.
I saw you upstairs today, but I didn't get to talk to you.
I can't understand why they get so all bent out of shape on it.
you got two of them?
No, that's right. I have, mine is gray. Okay. Tom. Oh, wait. Oh, thank you. I got a. I'll give you a pointer. Get another picture.
Yeah.
No, I love the picture. Someone sent it to me today.
Well, that's what she told me.
Yeah, and I don't think that you're better looking. That's how. Huh? Yeah.
I don't know, my family was in here.
Oh, well. It's a discussion. Oh, that's great. That's a week from Wednesday? That's a week from Wednesday. Yeah. I'm glad they're having it up at the, it's at the Marriott, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a pain in the ass when I used to do it up by 128. Just not, oh yeah, it's very good. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have do you hear a hum? Yes. Can you hear me all right? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, town meeting will now be in order. Would you please rise for a prayer? As we begin this fall town, I had fall town meeting, and I forgot to announce that last night when I was going through my records, I saw a prayer that I wrote on the fall town meeting in 2010. And I thought it was apropos for this evening, so it's the same prayer. As we begin this town meeting, let us reflect on the way town meetings have been held before tonight. Because of the leadership, prudence, caution of past town meetings, members, town offices, finance committees, our educational and municipal services are second to none. Our job in this unstable economy is to balance the many needs and wishes of our constituents with available assets. The town meeting is not just about today, it's about today and tomorrow. Let us reflect on the importance of the town meeting and its finance committee be properly and fully informed. Amen. Thank you very much. A couple of arrivals. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of announcements. The school committee, town meeting will be in order, please. The school committee and the EFPBC have provided an update to town meeting from the school committee and EFPBC. Speak up, yes, sir. We may need some assistance here. We're getting some ringing, too. The Winchester High School feasibility study has an update for town meeting, and it was handed out there, and it's good reading for everybody. And in addition to that, the League of Women Voters, specifically Judy Muja, asked for everybody to be invited to the Winchester High School auditorium on May 19th, 3 o'clock to 4:30, and to hear a discussion on the new Winchester High School. And that announcement is on the back of that sheet. So you've got both the report and the invitation in that. And then one other invitation, the Right Lock Farm asked me to announce that they are having a open house for town meeting members on May 12th, 1 to 4 p.m. Okay? And yes.
Last week. I'm sorry, that was last week. May 12th is our spring fling, and we hope they will come to that.
Okay, different organization, same organization, different day, different unit. And then one other thing, and then we'll move on with the meeting. I'd like to introduce Doug Marmon, who has an introduction of his own. Mr. Marmon?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Last February, our controller left the town employ to take a job in Wayland. And since that time, we've been...
Can't hear you.
Last February, we lost our controller, and since then, we've been looking to find the right replacement. And I'm here tonight and pleased to announce that we have completed that search, and we have appointed Stacy Ward to be the new town controller. just a few words in introduction. Stacy is a CPA and has worked as a consultant in municipal accounting for a number of years, filling in a number of accounting type roles in towns in Massachusetts. She's well acquainted with the rules and regulations and has a working knowledge of Munis, which is our software accounting package. And she resides in neighboring Medford. Over the past several years, the town has cleaned up a number of problems in its books and its procedures. Our audits are now clean and prompt. We fully expect that Stacy will continue this accounting excellence and will also do more to analyze the data, to create projections about the future, and to help us with financial planning. So please welcome Stacy to the town.
Ladies and gentlemen, we turn now to Article 4, which is on page 32 of your book. And it's moved and seconded that the town meeting establish a 5-member committee to be appointed by the town moderator. Said committee to draft a bylaw for consideration by town meeting that would specify what information should be provided with the town manager's budget on February 15th prior to the annual town meeting. Is that seconded? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I worked with the town manager and the Board of Selectmen in 2010 to look at the big picture when we started to address the 2011 budget. The efforts included projecting the use of free cash and looking for a way to determine how to protect our AAA bond rating. In January 2013, this year, I requested from the town manager and the Board of Selectmen a financial summary of current liabilities and the need to add additional ones possibly, and at least to identify them so for the evaluation so that we as a town meeting can know what maybe lies ahead. And the 2010 was looking for a big picture, and so I put the article on the agenda so that because I was not getting a response to that, and it was obvious to me that we didn't have a good plan, not a plan, but a summary of what the various assumptions were made in prior budgets. So could I have my first slide, please? Yes, sir. Pardon?
Are you the proponent of this?
I am the proponent of this and the prime speaker.
Isn't it customary for the moderator to appoint a temporary moderator?
No, it is not. It's never been done here. So,
Excuse me?
I said it's not going to be done here
And why is that?
because I'm the moderator and I'm not going to do it. I can speak.
The moderator is not the mayor.
The gentleman will sit down.
Excuse me?
Well, for what purpose do you rise?
I believe it is customary in New England town meetings if the moderator is a proponent of a measure to speak from the floor and to appoint a temporary moderator.
Well, it's not consistent with what I do. Please take your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of the article was to document the town manager's budget each February before it's issued. And we'd identify assumptions that are made in the annual budget. We'd identify the use of free cash for 3 years, calculate the impact on the AAA rating, identify potential free cash use not in the town manager's budget, like some other department trying to add money, identify potential needs for free cash over the next 5 years, and identify items that might be funded later this fiscal year. That, ladies and gentlemen, that is not a plan. But if you don't have that information, you can't make a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan, which is the long-range goal of the town is to try to develop a 5-year plan. Could I have the next slide, please? And 10 years ago, when it got really confusing, this was adopted by the town. And what it has here is that in October, the Board of Selectmen starts thinking it through on revenue projections, whether or not we need an override and what have you. I'm sorry, so that they can give policy direction to the town manager. The school committee is on a rather rigid schedule, and what they do, they start October 1, have published the budget, get a public hearing, and adopt their budget, and then submit it to the town manager on January 15th. The capital planning committee submits theirs to the town manager, and then the town manager puts his budget together and completes it by February 15 and gives it to the finance committee for them to publish and mail to the town meeting. Next slide, please. Now, the town actually went and put together this financial plan that we're talking about. And this is the document. And this was provided in early April. And the document is excellent. It spells out some liabilities. For example, the pension liability is $3.5 to $4.2 million a year. The healthcare retirement liability is $93 million. The Right Lock Farm liability is $12 million. And there are discussions going on as to whether or not to go out with different options to try to reduce that liability. The high school liability is $127 million, of which $83 million would be financed by the town of Winchester. The capital fund and building liability is unbelievable because we appropriate millions of dollars and will in this session to those two funds which go up 2.5% a year. The funds now cannot make any distribution over the next 3 years without having it come out of free cash. There is debt service override that's being on the ballot for technology. There is no debt service to try to repair this problem. The flooding liability in Winchester is estimated at $9.7 million. The school increasing expense liability is predicted to be $600,000 to $1 million a year. The collective bargaining liability at 1% increases in wages is $500,000 a year, and in the second year would be $1 million. Obviously, if you gave 2%, it would be $1 million the first year and $2 million the second. Other known liabilities are popping up, like the new roof in this building, and also the bridge. If you've been downtown, the bridge has some problems down by the waterfall, which is going to cost some money to repair that bridge. May I have the next slide, please? This is a slide that we made back in 2010, and you can see that the Board of Selectmen's policy, and a good policy, is that the free cash expressed as a percentage of revenue. So if you have 9.9%, that means that you've got $90 million worth of revenue. That curve, when this curve goes from down to 6, the selectmen's policy is we've got to start thinking very strongly about doing an override. In this particular one, when we made this, we had a graph which is really helpful when you're trying to understand how much you can move when you make a budget. And this has not been out publicly, but in this case, this line here shows what happens to the A rating, and it's okay for the next 3 years. But that's based on 1.314 million. If somebody on the floor adds $1 million to the budget, it's this curve. And if you add $2 million or 4, we lose the A rating. May I have the next slide? Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the calculation starting with 2014. And the first one, this one here, that is the finance committees, that one in the middle. And if you look on page 20, in the appendix of the finance committee's report, there is an excellent description of why you should have a plan like we're talking about here. And this is their calculation of what our A rating looks like with certain assumptions. And the point that the Finance Committee makes is that when you do this kind of analysis, you're not recommending it, but you're doing it to find out what the impact is if you don't do something or if you do a multiple group. This was a calculation that I did, and this one I made the assumption, just to see what would happen, I made the assumption on my graph that we added $200,000 a year from free cash for miscellaneous things, and we did 1.5% salary increases. And you can see that this is the most rapid curve towards losing your A rating. This is the town manager's projection in this book here. Now, the reason it looks so flat is that he makes no assumptions on the impact of collective bargaining. So there is no numbers in there. If he was to add $1 million a year, you know, it would drop into one of these two curves here. So next slide, please. So the goal of this motion is to document the need for this information. We are very fortunate that the town manager and the Board of Selectmen have prepared this now, because we have detailed and in writing it's not a plan, it's a list of all the things that are can fluctuate. And we have enough information that when combined with the budgets, we can protect our AAA rating and, in the long range, encourage the development of a 5-year funding plan. And my motion called for the setting up of a committee to detail this, so to make sure we have this report in our possession every year in February. Since that time, I have the assurance of the Board of Selectmen and the town manager that they are going to definitely continue on this path, and we will have this available next year so that all of the town meeting members will be able to take a look at the details of this. And so based on that, it seems like doing the committee now that we've got a form for the report and it's done, that I am going to make a motion to accept my withdrawal of this motion, because it's essentially done and it makes no sense to take 5 months to write it up. And a motion for withdrawal does not require a second, but it requires a majority vote. And so I'll put that motion now, unless somebody wants to speak. Hearing none. It's moved and seconded that the motion be withdrawn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to Article 5. See if the town will authorize the treasurer with the approval of the town manager and the Board of Selectmen to borrow money from time. I apologize. When we get the new high school, we're going to get new mics and the sound system. So it's to see if the town will vote to authorize the treasurer with the approval of the town manager and the Board of Selectmen to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of revenue for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2013. It's on page 33 of your book. It's moved and seconded that the town authorize the treasurer with the approval of the town manager and the Board of Selectmen to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of revenue for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2013, in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 4 as amended, and issue a note or notes, therefore, payable within 1 year, and to renew any note or notes that may be given for a period of less than 1 year in accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 17. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Now, that was real short. The next one won't be. This is Article 6, and there are a series of motions here on the town to... I'm sorry again. It's, this motion is to appropriate funds for the various budgets of the town meeting. And if you turn to the yellow sheet that you should have picked up today, and take a look at the top of the yellow sheet to make sure you have the correct one. This one says Article 6, Fiscal Year 14, Budget Motion, yellow sheet, revised 5-6. Okay? That was handed out today. It's a slight revision. And there are the first two motions are standard, and we do this every year. We have to appropriate money for the Building Stabilization Fund and the Capital Stabilization Fund. Many years ago, we set up these funds to appropriate X number of bucks every year into these two funds. And that number that grows at 2.5%, and that was an override that was passed, I believe, about 10 years ago. And so the first one is moved and seconded that the town appropriate and transfer $2,427,372 into the Building Renovation Reconstruction Stabilization Fund. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Motion number 2. It's moved and seconded that the town appropriate and transfer $1,049,670 into the Capital Improvement Stabilization Fund. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Pardon? Okay. Two-thirds vote? Okay. It requires a two-thirds vote. So on motion number 1, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Number 2, it's moved and seconded that the town appropriate $1,049,670 to the Capital Fund. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Being unanimous, it's obviously more than the two-thirds. Thank you. Both passed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just a little diversion here, particularly for new town meeting members. You notice all down the left-hand side, you see number 1 to 39 on that page. So there are 39 different motions, and we go through them one by one. And if we look at the town manager's budget, which is number 3 motion, it's moved and seconded that $650,178 is appropriated for account 1210 town manager, of which personal services is $599,278 and other expenses is $50,900. And the reference paid to the Finance Committee is 11. Now, the reason I bring this up for new town meeting members, if you note, if this passes, the town manager cannot use the $599,000 except for personal services, and he can't use the expenses to hire an additional person. So, and if you had equipment, they're fixed. So you got a budget for the town manager, but he has to spend, if he's spending personal services, it has to be spent on personal services, not on equipment. Where if you go down to motion 25, which is education, you note that we're appropriating $38 million in account 3110 education, and there's no definition in personal services, other expenses, and equipment. They can use all the money for personal services or half of it for equipment if they wanted to. I doubt very much if they would, but under Massachusetts law, the school department budget is all collected and can be used at the discretion of the school committee. And I just bring that up because it's a question that comes up because we're going to vote that different. So we're going to start now on motion number 3, and before we start, we're going to turn it over to the Finance Committee Chair, Patty Cluey. And ladies and gentlemen, these motions, all of these motions, are the motions of the Finance Committee.
Good evening. In preparing this budget, we faced, as we always do, competing pressures, short and long-term, municipal and schools, operating and capital items. We believe we settled on the correct balance, but are most concerned about the funding of capital items over the next few years, and would like to note that since we produced the budget in mid-April, 2 additional urgent capital projects have been identified: repair of the Winchester High School roof, which has been added to the yellow sheet, and repair of the Mount Vernon Street Bridge, which will be funded from Chapter 90 funds, but will mean that roads and sidewalk repairs will receive less funding than is preferable. We have been reviewing this budget for about 5 months. The full committee has met 16 times during preparations. We've had multiple subcommittee meetings with departments, presentations from large departments, 3 budget summits, other visits to the Board of Selectmen, School Committee, and Town Manager. We've attended or watched every school committee meeting since December and reviewed the lowest level of detail in that huge pink book that we give you. We've reviewed many other documents as well. We've been able to fund level services plus a number of additions, in part because of healthcare savings and also because of substantial savings in net special education tuitions versus the FY13 budget of about $300,000, plus $100,000 of prepayments of tuitions that the schools have recently added. On the town side, which includes positions hired to support school children, teachers, and buildings, we have added a part-time human resources director, a custodian for the new larger Vincent Owen and Parkhurst, a part-time community outreach coordinator, and an additional crossing guard that might be needed because of redistricting. We've also restored library weekend hours. On the school side, we have added funding for 5.4 teachers due to increased enrollment at Winchester High School and McCall, 3 part-time assistant principals so that all elementary schools will have a part-time assistant principal, an HR director, a part-time educational technology coordinator, 3 teachers, and 1 TA to staff 3 new special education programs, a literacy curriculum coordinator, a part-time nurse, guidance, and a few other positions that we hope are still being prioritized by the school committee. We believe this is a large number of new positions for a year without additional revenue, and it was as much as we felt that we could responsibly add. For some of us, it was too much, especially without settled union contracts and with limited capital resources. More positions will be added for education in FY14 than were added in the FY13 budget, even though the overall increase was higher last year at 6%, because special education tuitions increased in FY13 but are expected to decrease in FY14. Understanding the underlying details is critical in evaluating the submissions. We have children in the district and we support education. When there are additional funds, we support adding them to education. But we all have a duty to fund a budget that is sustainable in the future. We have stretched as far as we believe that we can and have no more funds to spend. We suggest that if any of you would like to add funding, you should start working on an operating override campaign because there is not revenue to support further additions to the budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we start with motion 3. It's moved and seconded that $650,178 be appropriated for account 1210 town manager, $599,278 for personal services, $50,900 for other expenses. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and motion carries. Now, to accelerate this, has everybody got a yellow sheet? Rather than me reading the whole motion. The next one is motion 4. It's moved and seconded that $6,000 be appropriated to fund account 1310, the Finance Committee, and it's broken down to personal services and other expenses. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Ayes, excuse me, the ayes have it. Motion 5, $315,532 for account 1330, the Controller. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. Article 6, the Assessors. It's moved and seconded that $358,790 be appropriated for account 1340, the Assessors. All those in favor, please. I'm sorry? $258,790. They make this any smaller. This is a town clerk gets a big one. No, that's all right. No, I'll suffer along here. Okay. On the Assessors, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Motion 7. It's moved and seconded, $75,000 be appropriated for account 1360, Audit. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Motion 8. It's moved and seconded that $430,125 be appropriated for account 1530, Data Processing. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And then motion number 9. It's moved and seconded that $321,689 be appropriated for 1350 Collector Treasurer. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and motion carries. If anybody has a question, feel free to jump up. Yes, sir.
Moderator, I wonder, I noticed in the materials you've been handed that it appears that there may be a difference between the school committee's recommendation and the finance committee's recommendation. And my question is there a way we can understand before we vote the other budget motions whether there are other differences between our boards?
I think no one's hearing you, so can we have a microphone here? Would you mind coming down, sir? I appreciate that.
Thanks. Mr. Moderator, my name is Mike Bailey from Precinct 4, and just a question. I noticed that I believe, if I understand the materials, that the motion from the school committee or the discussion about budget from the school committee has a different recommendation than the budget recommendation from the Finance Committee. I was just curious if there was a way we could understand whether there are other material differences between the boards and commissions' recommendations and those of the Finance Committee before we make too many decisions this evening. But I'll just put that question to you and we'll...
Okay, sir.
It's just a question.
Do you want to comment on that, Ms. Cluey? The question, I think, if I could summarize it, is that he's aware that there are some differences in opinion on what the town manager's budget and the school budget is, and before we vote all the town budgets here on the way there and after, are there any other differences between the Finance Committee and the budget items?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to motion 10. It's moved and seconded that $781,660 is appropriated for account 1410 Planning and Commercial Development. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and motion carries. Article 11. It's moved and seconded that $105,726 be appropriated for 1400 Planning Board. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Yes, ma'am. Pardon? Okay. We had it written down up here, but we'll do it again. It's moved and seconded on number 8 $430,125 for 1530 data processing. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Item 12, $345,000 appropriated for account number 1510, legal. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Motion 13, $130,800 appropriated for general services. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion 14, it's moved and seconded that $335,444 to account 1610, town clerk. Are there any questions on that one? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. 15, culture and recreation. It's moved and seconded that $1,730,014 be appropriated for account 6110, library. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. 16, the archival center. It's moved and seconded that $8,200 be appropriated for account number 6940, the archival center. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. 17, $273,103 to account number 5110, Board of Health. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. $238,252 for account 5410, Council on Aging. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. 19, $23,857 to account 5420, Veteran Services. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Public Safety, Police Department. It's moved and seconded that $4,120,794 be appropriated to account 2110, the Police Department. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. 2210 account. Moved and seconded that $4,111,017 be appropriated for account 2210, the Fire Department. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. 22, $9,020 to account 2420, Weights and Measures. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. The Department of Public Works. It's moved and seconded that $5,535,593 be appropriated to the Department of Public Works. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. 24, it's moved and seconded that $400,000 be appropriated for the DPW snow and ice. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Article number 25, it's moved and seconded that $38,943,581 be appropriated for account 3110, education. Pardon?
Should I make a motion to amend that?
Yes, sir.
Michael Schindelman, Precinct 7 Town Meeting, and also Chair of the School Committee. I move that we amend motion number 25 by adding an additional $162,500 to the education budget for a new total of $39,106,081, and to fund the additional appropriation through the use of free cash, so-called.
Thank you, sir. Did that, and we have a second up back. And yeah, we got back, the gentleman up there. And I see Mr. McAuliffe is going to speak.
If we can, you can speak,
Yes.
to, please.
Take your time, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. And good evening, town meeting members. Can you all hear me? Yes. Thank you. The school committee started its formal FY14 budget process in November, and since has been working steadily and regularly on their budget. I would like to start by providing a quick overview, a snapshot, if you will, that describes where we are in the school budget process. In February, the school committee identified a level services and most critical and pressing needs budget proposal that totaled $39.7 million. In April, the finance committee recommended a school department budget of $38.94 million. This is the number represented by motion number 25. Over the course of the last several weeks, the school administration and school committee have been working on ways to bridge the gap that's identified on this slide. This work has led to the school committee's motion to amend the operating budget by increasing the amount by $162,500 for the total of $39,106,081. And I'll explain the details of that in a minute. I think it's important to provide some additional context related to the school committee's original proposal. Veteran town meeting members will be familiar with the pattern you see on the slide, if I move it forward. Winchester's steady and sustained enrollment growth has meant more classroom teachers, staff, and specialists, investment in capital projects to enhance our school capacities, and increased strain where such investment has not kept pace with demand. Our projected net gain in students district-wide is 28 students, arguably one of the lowest in many years. However, we do anticipate an increase of 43 students at the secondary level, and the needs for that are represented in the school committee's budget proposal. The school committee's original budget proposal included within the level services category funding for secondary enrollment, additional resources to address the Lynch School's accountability status, an additional FTE at the elementary level to maintain class size guidelines, and resources to create 3 specialized special education programs in an effort to meet the in-district needs of newly identified students. These 3 programs, 2 of which are elementary programs and 1 of which is a middle school program, will meet the needs of approximately 11 to 15 or more students beginning in September. We know that these programs will create cost avoidance in future years, perhaps some cost avoidance next year, while allowing the needs of these students to be served in the district as opposed to, in some cases, outside the district. The school administration and school committee has worked to prioritize those most critical and pressing needs that were identified in the school committee's original proposed budget. With the additional funding so requested through this motion, and along with some adjustments to the original proposed budget, the school department will be able to include the items listed on this slide. The adjustments just referred to include using $100,000 from the current budget to prepay special education summer tuitions, which is allowed by law. And additionally, we have adjusted our anticipated special education circuit breaker reimbursement amount by $94,311. Some of you may be asking, why during this time of fiscal restraint is the school committee pushing the envelope, so to speak? The reality is that the school committee began this process of identifying its most critical and pressing needs beyond level services a couple of years ago, in anticipation of new and ever-changing regulations governing Massachusetts public education. In light of these new regulations, educator evaluation, and state accountability rules, to name 2, the need to provide the instructional and leadership services that will ensure a rigorous focus on the goal of continuous improvement of student learning is more crucial now than ever. MCAS, which we're all very well familiar with, is no longer the sole indicator, at least on the state level, and it really never has been as far as we've been concerned on the local level. But MCAS is no longer the sole indicator of a school district's effectiveness. All educators under the new regulations must now have, as a part of the new system, measurable student learning goals. How are students showing improvement on a continuous basis? In order to effectively implement this new requirement, all school districts must adopt and create district-determined measures that involve every grade level and every subject matter or course taught in our schools, not just those MCAS, not just those areas that MCAS touches upon. As a matter of fact, MCAS only meets the teaching of about 18% of our staff. The other 82% of our staff teach grade levels and courses where MCAS is not administered. Each of these positions on this list, which the additional funding along with our other adjustments will allow us to implement, provide proactive support for teachers and special services staff to meet goals through continual observations, conferences, and identification of resources needed to meet goals, among many other things. Here's a slide that you've seen before. Every year we show you this slide.
Excuse me, Mr. McAuliffe. As the first speaker on the amendment, you get 5 minutes, but you're entitled to one extension, and you can have an extension for whatever time that the town meeting votes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is my last slide, so if I could have 1 minute.
Or you can take more than that. We'll extend it for 5 minutes. I know you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you. Every year we show you this slide. What it really represents, in my opinion, is the very strong value that Winchester parents and residents receive for the educational dollars you spend. We are not asking town meeting tonight to fund our school budget at the per pupil level of those districts that we benchmark ourselves against. What we are asking for is a comparatively small incremental addition to our budget that, when coupled with the adjustments we've already identified, we will be able to continue to make a substantial difference in the education of Winchester students. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Question comes on the motion to amend by the addition of $162,500. Any comments? Yes, sir. Who's talking? Oh, Carl Frizel, yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't hear what you said. They would like to hear from the Finance Committee.
So the Finance Committee votes unfavorable action. We were aware that the school committee wanted to add, we didn't know how much, and would like to note that they, by prepaying tuitions, have increased their run rate by $100,000, which they just did last week. So this would be an additional 162, which is about $250,000 annual increase. And we don't think that it is sustainable. I have one slide I wanted to show you. Let me just see if I can find it. So this is the per pupil spending that the schools like to show, and it's interesting, but I showed it last fall, and I just wanted to remind town meeting that 80% of the difference between Winchester and the other districts is in the bottom three categories. Pupil services, the big difference is busing. Because of our geography, we don't need to bus as many other districts do in the state. And then operations and maintenance and insurance and retirement programs reflect careful spending on the municipal side, but this spending is not part of the school side. So there's about a $300 difference, and we did a 6% last year. So we're thinking that when FY13 funds come in, we will be closer to this average. Also, because of the way Winchester is with a limited commercial base, we just cannot afford some of the spending of some of these other towns. So we believe this budget that we have done is the most that we can afford, and if someone can find more revenue, if you want to start an override campaign and you can make it pass, then that could fund the additions that are being called for. Further, I don't recognize the number that was just presented, and I've been looking at these numbers very carefully for the long time. And the FinCom number is the number that's presented on the yellow sheet, but we have a separate number of $489,000 that will be appropriated within a personnel motion and then distributed in the fall.
Thank you very much. Further on the question? Yes, sir. Can't see who it is.
Can anybody hear me? Okay. It seems like every year...
You have to speak up.
It seems like every year when we get to the education budget, I would really like to hear them say, wow, we work so close together with all the other committees in the town, and we can accept what we have negotiated and agreed on. But it never happens that way. It comes back with another little addition. This year it's a little addition, but I don't think...
Microphone. Microphone, they can't hear. Tip it up, tip it like this. There you go. Sorry. I thought it was a bottle. Come on down if you want to say some more.
Is this better? I'm Bob Crockett. I'm Precinct 7 town meeting member. What I was trying to say was I would very much love to see the school committee or the superintendent of schools come up and say, wow, we've had a wonderful review over this process, very hard decisions to make, and we can live with the agreements or the inputs that the Finance Committee and others have made. I think that we never see that. It's always, I want another little bit more. Oh, you only said I could have this much? Oh, well, I want another 170,000, or whatever it is. I'd like to see it be the other way, so that we don't even have to talk about it, really, because it's a number that's on the yellow sheet, and everybody should be voting for that number. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gentleman up back. Yes, sir. Mr. Conti, and then the gentleman on the aisle.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I would hope the town meeting members would focus on one word that the chairman of the Finance Committee stated in her opposition to this proposal, and that is the word sustainable. This, when we add something to the budget, we're adding not only that dollar figure that the school committee has proposed, but we're adding a figure that will project into the future and increase with the increased costs. And this, as the Finance Committee chairman told us, this figure is not sustainable. We cannot afford it. And I hope for once we will listen to the Finance Committee. There are experts who go over these budgets with a fine-tooth comb, put a lot of hard work into it, and I think we ought to respect their judgment. Thank you.
Gentleman right down here, is right there.
Hi, I'm Bob McIntosh from Precinct 1. I'm confused. Where would this money come from? And they want another 162,000 for the school budget, but I have no
Mike,
idea where
Mike.
it would come from.
They have trouble hearing you over here.
I'm sorry, I'm wondering where this $162,000 would come from. Would it just come out of free cash? And if so, what would that do to our free cash levels? Thank you.
It would, it's my understanding this would come out of free cash.
Yes, it would come out of free cash, so by the end of year 3, that would be $500,000 out.
Further on the question. Are you ready for the question, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sorry? Ms. Wilson? Oh, town manager? I can't see him. But...
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is the second year that I've helped prepare the budget, turn it over to the Finance Committee. This is the same debate that the body had last year. I do compliment the school committee for making a sincere effort to get to as best a bottom line as it could. I also compliment the Finance Committee for making sure that every line item within the school department budget was examined. It's the second year in a row that I've seen the slides that have been put up by the school committee, and I do understand and do believe that if there were more resources available on a sustainable basis, a key word that has been mentioned a couple times here, that additional investment within the school department would be appropriate. As manager, I am not in favor of supporting additional resources that have to come from free cash. It's a critical line item that should be sustained at the levels that are being recommended in this budget by the Finance Committee, and that also had been recommended by the Manager's Office in submission to the Finance Committee. So as much as I would support the idea and believe that the money within the department is well spent, it returns great results for this particular community, the source is not appropriately identified, and the Manager's Office would not support the effort for additional resources from that source. Thank you.
Thank you. Further on the question. Ms. Wilson. Then the gentleman. Chris
Ladies
Dixon.
and gentlemen, the Board of Selectmen also recommends unfavorable action on the amendment. The question is not whether the dollars would be well spent. I think we all agree that 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 would all be well spent by our school department. But the question is, can we afford it? As we've heard from the town manager and from the Finance Committee, this budget represents a balance of competing needs: capital, education, other municipal services, reserves, the competing interests that we all face every day of today versus tomorrow. What types of reserves? Reserves for a rainy day, reserves for our employees when they retire and need health care. For a non-override year, this is a good budget. It allows level service funding, and level service does not mean level dollars. It means being able to meet additional needs, such as the superintendent described, like increasing enrollment. This is the second year that we've been able to, without an override, without an operating override, meet level services plus selected initiatives. The superintendent is right that $165,000 seems very small compared to the size of the school budget, and it does. Compared to $30 million, $165,000 seems like not a lot. $165,000 is also is much bigger compared to the amount of free cash that we're looking at for next year's end, potentially $2.5 million. We'll hear a lot about free cash at this meeting. Our policy is to try to support recurring expenses with recurring revenues and to save free cash for one-time expenditures. It's hard to make that choice, but it's an important choice to make. Our capital funds are dwindling, and we're going to need our free cash as we can to meet capital needs going forward until we can find other revenue sources. We also need free cash to meet our bond rating. We hear a lot about our AAA bond rating. This year, it's going to matter at a place that's important to the schools, with the high school, when we go out to borrow a sizable amount of money, and the cost of borrowing will make a difference to our budget. So we regretfully recommend unfavorable action. We would suggest that the types of additions that the schools are looking to make and to fund are those that need additional revenues. And if you would like those additional revenues, make your voices heard to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nixon was next. Linsky, I'm sorry.
Thank you. My name is Chris Linsky. I'm also on the school committee, but I'm also a member of town meeting. I rise to say that I understand everything that has been said. I actually served on the finance committee, and I'm very aware of the Board of Selectmen's positions. I actually started meeting with them back in September. I brought to their attention that we were facing a problem. I reminded them frequently that we were looking at a request that would exceed 4% per year, and yet they continue to say that not this year. It just doesn't happen fast enough. That's unfortunate because the needs in the schools don't put themselves off until we can afford them. So I also want to remind town meeting that the work isn't done when you come to town meeting. You don't get handed a book and be told this is how you should vote. The way it works is the school committee comes here and it tells you what it needs to do to serve the students. And we tell you the things that are not funded in the budget. And you have to listen and have to hear what is essential. And then you have to make a call. I don't know a single parent that has moved into Winchester and said to me, the AAA bond rating attracted me to this community. So I say to you, who funded that AAA bond rating? When we went out and asked for an override that was successful in 2008, what we asked for was money to fund the services for the children and to fund the service of the municipal services. It wasn't to put it under the mattress for a rainy day. So when we have the money, and we're telling you there are things that we could do with that money would serve the students, we don't do that lightly, and we're asking you to do that this evening. So I ask you to think about that as well. Thank you.
You ready for the question, ladies and gentlemen? One more up back there.
I'll be brief. Now that we've heard from the concerns of the Finance Committee and others, it would be great to hear again from the superintendent how he might address those concerns.
Mr. McAuliffe, the question, would you like to address any of the comments you just heard?
I'd like to say a couple of things about one of the first comments about wouldn't it be nice if the school committee superintendent came to town meeting and said, thank you, we're satisfied. I think that that's difficult to do. It's not that we're not satisfied, and it's not that we're not appreciative, or certainly as superintendent, not appreciative of the ongoing support that town meeting has showed the schools, the ongoing support that our parents show the schools every single day, the ongoing support that our residents show the schools, and the high regard and importance of our school system in relation to all that happens in this community. I came to Winchester in 2007 and was very, very pleased to be able to do that. And 6 years later, I'm just still thrilled to be here. I do want to remind you that, and my memory isn't the best, so if someone remembers differently, then please let me know. But in the first 4 budgets that I worked on with the school committee and was presented to town meeting, my recollection is that there was an agreement coming into town meeting. Additional funds were not asked for. And for the first time that I have been here since 2007, last year's town meeting was the first time the school committee asked for an additional appropriation. So the needs change. Our needs have increased every year. Next year we'll open school with over 4,400 students. That's compared to about 3,100 students 15 years ago. As the enrollment grows, the needs of the district grow as well. I understand sustainability. We work hard on an annual basis to understand that. I understand what our town fathers and the finance committee, and I guess town mothers, I'm sorry, Jennifer, when speaking about resources, I understand that. I've been around for a long, long time, working in many, many communities, so I understand that. I see my job as a superintendent of schools is to advocate on behalf of the children for what they need, and when there is a difference between what the school committee has proposed, what the finance committee is proposing, and when we can work to bridge that gap as much as we possibly can, I'm going to continue to advocate for that for as long as I'm here in Winchester. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You ready for the question, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, sir.
Mr. Moderator, I'm Paul Kelly, Precinct 3. I rise in support of the school committee's motion to amend. I agree with the speaker who suggested that people come here because education is what we do. The problem is that we have more and more students every year. The people we hire to run these schools are professionals. They tell us what they need. I certainly have respect for the Finance Committee, but I do want to say this. We ought not to set ourselves apart from one another over $160,000. If you people who support the schools want an override, if you want the $160,000, then go have an override. I expect leadership from the town. If we need an override, all of us ought to support it. And that includes, in my opinion, the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen. And I don't think we ought to be sitting here with $160,000, which is needed to educate the growing enrollment in this school, school system, and be told, if you want it, go have an override. So I support the school committee.
Thank you very much. Are you ready for the questions, ladies and gentlemen?
One more person, John, to the far right.
Yes, ma'am. 1 second.
I don't know. Is this going to work? Hi, Karen Silver Nyes, District 6. The Finance Committee said that they didn't understand where the difference was coming, $100,000 versus $500,000. Can somebody tell me what the money that they're asking for is going towards? I mean, where that discrepancy is coming from? Did that make sense? I'm sorry. The source?
It's coming from free cash.
No, I'm sorry. Why are they, it sounds so loud in my ears. What is the money for? This $100 and something thousand that the school committee, or that they're asking for? What is it for?
The town meeting member's question is, what is the money going to be used for?
So the $162,500, combined with the adjustments that were described, we're going to use $100,000 that will be freed up in next year's budget by prepaying summer tuitions out of this year's budget, plus the additional $94,000 in circuit breaker reimbursement that we're anticipating. We had estimated $94,000 less. We were conservative when that budget, when we put the budget together in February. So when you take that $194,000 plus the $162,500, that funding will provide us with a half-time assistant principal at the Lincoln, Morocco, and Vincent Owen schools, an elementary K-5 district-wide literacy curriculum coordinator, an additional nursing and guidance counselor services at the middle and high school, the equivalent of, between the two, a total of 1.0 FTEs. The elementary librarian position will be a full-time, we'll hire a full-time person. This will complete an initiative that was begun 4 years ago when there were no librarians in our district. Actually, one full-time elementary librarian covered all 5 schools. We've been incrementally providing the resources so that beginning September, if this is funded, there'll be a full-time library media specialist in each of our elementary schools. And then the instructional technology director, that's a part-time position. It will be combined with a teaching position that will provide leadership in working with the assistant superintendent and the director of finance, as well as staff on our instructional technology curriculum and initiatives.
Okay, you ready for the question, ladies and gentlemen? Are you ready? Go ahead.
The superintendent listed a number of positions that are already funded in the Finance Committee's budget. Possibly one of them is not, but there are still trade-offs that the school committee can work on. They have just in the past week or so really started digging in and working harder to understand their budget. And you know, the changes in circuit breaker funding that the superintendent talks about are really just corrections to an overly pessimistic circuit breaker calculation. So it just sort of moderates it. It's not anything that they're doing differently. So in our budget, the assistant principals and the curriculum leader and the nurse and the guidance counselor, they're already funded.
Thank you. The gentleman in the middle aisle here.
Thanks. I just wanted to ask the superintendent a question or clarification. You were saying that you were going to use something like $90,000 of this year's money to pay next year's summer salary. Is that right? So does that mean this year we're going to, you would otherwise underrun $90,000? I'm just trying to understand how that works. And so if that's the case, then isn't the Finance Committee correct? In essence, your budget is going up about $250,000 next year?
Mr. McCalder.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. First, the $100,000 is not going to pay anyone's salary. It's going to pay tuitions for out-of-district students that require services in the months of July, August, and September. And this is allowed by state laws and statute. School committee has done this 2 or 3 times over the last 4 or 5 years in order to make funds available for the following year that were needed. I can't tell you whether that will increase the budget by $250,000 next year. I don't understand that. This is money that comes not from the town but from the state through the Special Education Circuit Breaker Reimbursement Fund. And so, not sure what the calculations will be for FY 215, but that certainly is something that we'll be paying close attention to.
Thank you, sir. You ready for the question, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, the question comes on the motion to amend, and it's been moved and seconded that the main motion be increased by $162,500. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. I would say the no has it. Yes, sir, Ms. Simpson? Gentleman asked for a counting vote, so I need some tellers. And let me get those appointed. Cynthia Latta, would you count your session? And let's see, Krista Russo, would you? Looks like a good pick. And Steve Powers, would you count your section? And Carl Friesel, would you do that section on that side? Okay, all those in favor of the appropriation of 162.5, please, I'm sorry, Mr. Friesel, and Mr. Friesel will count the Finance Committee. Sorry. And you count the select.
Who do I count?
Sometimes they don't vote, so. No, you count, I'm sorry, you count just your quadrant. See the space here? So from here back. Okay. Would you raise your right hands? Do you solemnly swear to faithfully perform your duties as tellers at this town meeting? So help you God? I do. Thank you very much. Okay. All those in favor of the appropriation of $162,500, please rise and the tellers will count. Seventeen. 16. 6. I'm sorry, Steve? 20. All those opposed, please rise. Say that again, please. 18. 30. 18. 21. 59 having voted in the affirmative, 87 in the negative, the motion fails. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the main motion. It's moved and seconded that $38,943,581 be appropriated for account 3110 education. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. 26, it's moved and seconded that $189,885 be appropriated for account 1361 vocational education. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it and motion carries. 27 for energy. It's moved and seconded that $2,338,954 is appropriated for account 1910 energy. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it and motion carries. 28, it's moved and seconded that $45,000 be appropriated for account 7140 tax abatement. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. 29, it's moved and seconded that $3,806,367 be appropriated for 9110 contributory retirement. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it and motion carries. Motion 30, $300,000 be appropriated for 9120 workers' compensation indemnification. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it and motion carries. Motion 31, $120,000 for account number 9130 unemployment compensation. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it and motion carries. $10,115,000 for account 9140 health insurance. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. 33, it's moved and seconded that $656,000 is appropriated for account 9150 FICA Medicare tax and refunds. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it and motion carries. 34, $32,000 appropriated for 9170 non-contributory retirement. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it and motion carries. 35, it's moved and seconded that $400,000 is appropriated for account 9430, the reserve fund. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. 36. The motion is $323,000 for account 9450 general insurance. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. The last one there, 37. $50,000 for account 9460. Environmental remediation services. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Now in the funded debt, it's moved and seconded. That's motion 38 on the first page. It's moved and seconded that $5,019,300 $5,326 be appropriated for account 7110 funded debt. And of that, $5,019,326 is for other expenses. $1,956,500 will come from the Building Stabilization Fund and $605,000 from the Capital Stabilization Fund. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. This requires a two-thirds vote, so we'll have to be unanimous. So if you take that vote again on the 38, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Chair declares that it's unanimous, obviously more than the two-thirds. Same thing with Article 39. Moved and seconded that $2,201,856 is appropriated for 7120 interest on debt, of which $2,201,856 is from other expenses, and $918,387 is from the Building Stabilization Fund, and $195,411 is from the Capital Stabilization Fund. A unanimous vote will qualify for a two-thirds, which this requires. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Chair declares it passes, obviously more than the two-thirds. Ladies and gentlemen, we got about 7 minutes till 9 o'clock, and I think we can get through these last motions on the reverse page. Maybe not. Do these have speakers on these, on the Capitol? Yeah, we've got speakers on the Capitol, so it's 5 minutes and 9, so I'd suggest that we have our recess now. The Girl Scouts are out there at 9 o'clock, so it's moved and seconded that the meeting be in recess until 9:15. All those in favor? I forgot these again.
Really? That's so exciting.
I'll use it, yeah.
Town meeting will come to order. Town meeting members, please take your seats. Okay, we're on the second page of the yellow sheet, motion 40. It's moved and seconded that we appropriate $300,000 for, I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon? Yes, but she can't make it from back there. Come on down. It's moved and seconded that we appropriate $300,000 for DPW roads and sidewalks, of which $300,000 is for other expenses, and $300,000 is from free cash. And the chair recognizes Helen Filio, who is on the head of the Capital Planning Committee.
That's it. Thank you very much. No, I can do it. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, Board of Selectmen, and Finance Committee.
You have 10 minutes.
Thank you.
As of right.
The time has arrived to tell you we are out of money. The two stabilization funds are pretty much leveraged out. Last fall, we gave our complete report to you at town meeting, and you approved these projects: the public safety building code deficiencies, the feasibility study, an additional fee for the high school, $15,000, and the Lynch bathrooms, which were a top priority of the school committee for quite a long time. The total of that was $745,000. Annually, you can see the appropriation in these different two funds and the debt service. What we're trying to show you is the debt service has now overtaken the appropriation pretty much. And so that in the next 3 or 4 years, there'll be no spending at all for the Building Stabilization Fund. This one gives you a little bit better of the numbers. You can see with the general fund, we get $220,000 a year is general revenue. That's it for spending. In fiscal 15, there's a little bit more money, but it's going to take quite a long time before that evens out and starts to rise again. We are trying to look at projects that give us the best cost benefit. For an example, what is on your agenda for this Springtown meeting includes a conversion at McCall from oil to gas. That conversion is estimated to save us $70,000 a year. The major problem with our capital funding is that we think we have our budget set to go, and then last minute something comes up that makes us prioritize everything. And as an example, we had thought we were going to be able to fund the firing range for the police department, but we found out that the high school roof has come in and needs immediate work and cannot wait until the renovation. So that took $100,000. The Center Falls Dam came in at more money than we anticipated. We've gone through and we've cut back the MIS project was going to be originally 140,000. We now have broken it down into 70,000 for now, and hopefully in the fall we can do another 70,000. The town will get its share in the spring town meeting, and the rest of it, which is for the schools, will be in the fall town meeting. These are the projects we're recommending. Roads and sidewalks is a standard budget item. This not only repairs the roads, but it also does curb cuts and does a lot of ADA requirements. The Skillings culvert is an engineering study because that is got to be fixed for the flood mitigation. It's part of the big flood mitigation project. The MIS project I told you about, the dump truck and the lawnmower are ongoing replacements for the DPW. Under the water and sewer enterprise account, there will be $198,000 bonded for the South Dam Gate, and the utility truck, which comes from their revenue, is $62,000. The cemetery, it's $20,000, comes from the Cemetery Trust Fund, and it will be used to improve the dell. I think in conclusion, I need to share with you again, without a consistent funding source, these funds are not going to go anyplace. We're not have any money for any new projects until something happens along the way to make this happen. We can't keep going into free cash. It's not appropriate. However, these projects seem to be pretty much top priority, and we have to try and go forward. We have written several letters all year to the appropriate people in town detailing the difficulties with the funds and where we are or where we're not. So far, there's been nothing. So I don't know, until somebody makes a decision to get us some more funding, this is what you're going to see. The projects that get deferred end up being projects that should have been done, and they're maintenance projects sometimes, and if you don't do them now, when you do them 4 years from now, they'll be double the price. There's ongoing roof repairs, there's ongoing all kinds of things that the deferred maintenance is really, really going to fall behind again. We had gotten a good start on it at the initial site of the funds, but we're now falling way by the wayside, and it's too bad. But we do the best we can with what we've got. We just want you to know where we are.
Thank you very much. Why don't you sit right down until we finish the motions here. Ladies and gentlemen, the first motion is number 40, and if there's anybody from the town's selectmen or what have you want to speak on one of these, please feel free to ask to be recognized. First one is on the DPW roads and sidewalks. It's moved, okay, Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Management and the board supports the motion.
They can't hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Management and the board support the motion.
Thank you very much. Are you ready for the motion to appropriate $300,000 for DPW roads and sidewalks? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Skillings Culvert, $195,000. Mr. Johnson.
Good evening, Board of Selectmen. Unanimously support Capital Planning Committee's request for funding for the Skillings Culvert and 180.
Can't hear you up back, sir.
The Board of Selectmen support the Skillings Culvert unanimously.
Further on the motion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. MIS, town, $70,000. Is there a speaker for the town? Mr. Howard.
Thank you again, Mr. Moderator. Management and the board support the $70,000 allocation for MIS.
Thank you very much, sir. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and motion carries. All of these, of course, are recommended by the Finance Committee because they're their motions. So it's ADA, $125,000. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
This is the fourth year of a 10-year ADA plan that was approved by the selectmen. This year, there will be a number of ramps in the schools, interior and exterior ramps at Beauregard Beach, a cafeteria ramp at Lincoln, as well as Lynch School ramp and ramp at the Ambrose Portables, as well as at the Lynch parking lot, and Design for Morocco access to OT, music and the stage. There is also $10,000 allocated here for a overage for another part of a ramp at Morocco.
Thank you very much. You ready for the question, ladies and gentlemen? On the ADA, $125,000. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. DPW pickup truck. Anybody? Mr. Howard?
Thank you again, Mr. Moderator. Same approval by management and by the board. Support.
While you're standing there, do you have, are you going to do the lawnmower too?
I'd be glad to. The lawnmower,
Yeah.
the cemetery,
Yep.
and Winchester High School roof repair, all supported by management of the board.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, all those in favor of the DPW pickup truck, 58,000, up back. Yes? Cannot hear you.
Projects, current funded projects, and there was some question about the status of closeouts of old projects. Is there any update on that?
I'm
It
sorry,
looked like it looked like there was a balance in a number.
Excuse me, I didn't hear your question.
So, my question through you to the town manager is, in the fall, we had a list in the capital planning report of funded projects that were older than 3 years that look like they may not have been closed out yet. Can we get a status on that? I know there's shortage of funding for some very valuable projects, and whether any progress was made on that since the fall.
Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. To answer the question, at this date, we do not have any additional closeout resources that could be devoted to capital purposes. We will continue to scour those accounts and evaluate available resources for the fall of this year.
Way up back in the red sweater. Yes, ma'am.
I was just wondering whether the $100,000 roof repair that we have to do for the high school, whether we might be able to put off the truck and the lawnmower, since the ones we see around town seem to look like they're in pretty good shape.
Okay. The question, did you hear the question? Yes.
Although we appreciate the idea, we do believe that the two equipment purchases are in order, and in total, the amount that we're proposing to use out of free cash is just about equal as a result of a reduction in the MIS line item from previously $140,000 to $70,000. And all of them will be one-time purchases.
Okay, further on the question, Ms. Filio. I can't hear you. Oh, you want to comment on the closeout? Ms. Filio.
I should have mentioned to you that it's the policy of the Capital Planning Committee to review all these accounts each year, and we never let anything stay in an account longer than 3 years. So there is turnover.
Okay, the question comes on the pickup truck. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. The DPW lawnmower at $25,000. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. The cemetery, $20,000. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. And finally, 47, the Winchester High School roof repair. $100,000. Any comments on that? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, that completes Article 6. And we turn now to Article 7, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money to the Special Education Stabilization Fund. It's moved and seconded, and this is by the school committee. It's moved and seconded that $100,000 is appropriated to the Special Education Stabilization Fund in accordance with, pardon? I beg your pardon. I can hear myself. We got to get some mics. I don't know who's in charge of the microphones, but these are like from the 1920s. It's moved and seconded that $100,000 is appropriated to the Special Education Stabilization Fund in accordance with Section 5B of Chapter 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and that to meet this appropriation, $100,000 is to be transferred from the fiscal year 2013 education budget account 3110. And we recognize the representative of the school committee. Yes, sir.
Mr. Moderator, if we may, can we have the superintendent speak to this?
Yes, that's fine. And ladies and gentlemen, this requires a 2/3 vote.
No slides. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Special Education Stabilization Fund was created by vote of the town meeting in 2012. It was created with an appropriation of $200,000 last year, which was funded in the same manner that this appropriation is being requested. Due to an unanticipated increase in state special education funds for fiscal year 2013 through the so-called circuit breaker funding, the school committee is able to provide funding from the FY13 school department operating budget in order to continue to build the Special Ed Stabilization Fund balance. For those who were not present last year, the fund was established for the purpose of supporting unanticipated and unbudgeted special education costs that may arise from year to year. Special education funding is difficult to project given the changing nature of the need for mandated special education services, and especially for out-of-district tuition and transportation expenses related to unforeseen placement of both in-district students who need to be placed out of district and students who may move into town subsequent to the annual budget being adopted. So this is this funding of $100,000 again will build the stabilization fund from a balance of $200,000 to $300,000. One thing that remains to be done on the school committee's agenda is to create a policy related to how the funds may be used. The anticipated use of the funds, again, is to, if it's warranted in the future, for the school committee to come back to town meeting, again, for the need to appropriate additional monies for unanticipated special education costs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Why don't you stay right down front here for a minute? Yes, ma'am.
The Finance Committee recommends favorable action on this article. We're certainly encouraged to hear that the school committee and the school leadership are working on policies, certainly guidelines that define the triggers and timelines for fund replenishment and withdrawal are needed. I'm certainly happy and look forward to seeing what those policies are. As Bill mentioned, the flow of special education funds is complicated coming through state circuit breaker funds. In fact, the school department received in excess of $250,000 in favorable circuit breaker reimbursement, and $100,000 is being set aside for this future, unanticipated future expenses. We certainly hope that the creation of a set of policies and guidelines around the fund will clearly define how the money goes in. The 2/3 vote from town meeting will define how the money then comes out. And when we anticipate, as we heard earlier, that circuit breaker may well be, again, in excess of projections for FY13, we look forward to seeing an additional deposit in next town meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Jennifer Wilson.
The Board of Selectmen unanimously recommends favorable action on this article. The stabilization fund allows the Education Department to bank savings from the current year to help even out unexpected fluctuations in future years. Good for the school budget and good for the town's budget overall.
Further on the question, are you ready for the question? Up back, sir.
Hi, Diabjarius Precinct 8. The last sentence in the background says the school committee's intention is to establish a target fund balance representative of historical and unanticipated special education costs. Do they have an estimate as to what that balance might be? Are we looking at $500,000 in the fund or what? Thank you.
Question, sir? Yeah.
That appears to be an appropriate target. We're looking at the data from previous years when we've had these unanticipated costs. We're looking to average them out over a 3-year period, and I'm sure that is what will guide the thinking when the school committee goes to develop its policies.
Okay, you need a 2/3 vote, so we'll try it by voice first. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and I would declare it unanimous and passes by a 2/3. Article 8, it's the Finance Committee motion to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money to the Capital Stabilization Fund and/or the Building Stabilization Fund established under Chapter 69 of the Acts of 2002. We have 3 motions here. And the first one is, it's moved and seconded that the town appropriate $286,000 to the Capital Stabilization Fund established under Chapter 69 of the Acts of 2002. Chair recognizes the Finance Committee.
Prior to the creation of the stabilization funds, the town debt service was funded through the general fund. The Finance Committee adopted a policy in 2010 that as these older non-Prop 2.5 excluded bonds mature and debt service declines, amounts that were formerly committed to capital project debt service will be transferred to the stabilization funds to support new capital projects. This practice supplements the annual $3.5 million appropriations to the stabilization funds and allows the town to maintain a consistent rate of spending on capital maintenance items over time. The FY14 appropriation will be $466,000, $180,000 of which will be transferred to the Building Stabilization Fund in order to eliminate a future deficit. The Finance Committee will reconsider the retiring debt policy in the fall and believes it would be preferable to appropriate directly the retiring debt amount from the general fund. One change we would like to see would be to move the capital planning process back to the winter budget timeframe to more closely align the timing of the preparation of the capital budget with that of the regular budget. Our third motion transfers $30,000 from the operating budget into the Building Stabilization Fund to account for energy savings produced by the new boiler at Morocco School. This reimburses the stabilization fund in order to minimize total life cycle cost of a project.
Any question on any of the 3? Yes, sir. Why don't you wait for the mic? Thank you.
Through you to the Finance Committee, could we have an explanation of their recommended policy change with regard to the retiring debt?
Ms. Cleary?
Well, we're going to look at it more in the fall, but basically it's a spin that we think we could take out of the system. You know, the capital planning process is so long since it starts in the summer and then the funds aren't appropriated a lot of times for a full year. So one thing, it would shorten the cycle, and then we don't see the point of appropriating to a stabilization fund and then appropriating from the stabilization fund for a project. It seems it would be simpler just to appropriate directly for the project. We would still plan to commit the same level of funding. We would just omit the pass-through step. Does that help?
Further on the question? Are you ready for the question? So, sorry, Mr. Howard?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Management supports and board supports as well.
Thank you very much. These all require two-thirds vote. So we take them one at a time. Are you ready for the motion? Thank you. Okay, first one, moved and seconded that the town appropriate $286,000 to the Capital Stabilization Fund established under Chapter 69 Acts of 2002. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. It is, there was no vote, so the chair declares it greater than two-thirds. Motion 2, it's moved and seconded the town appropriate $180,000 to the Building Stabilization Fund established under Chapter 69 of the Acts of 2002. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. It's unanimous, greater than the two-thirds required. Motion 3, it's moved and seconded that the town appropriate $30,000 into the Building Stabilization Fund established under Chapter 69 of the Acts of 2002. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries, obviously more than the two-thirds. That concludes Article 8, and we turn to Article 9. Article 9. Now that's on, ladies and gentlemen, that's on your yellow sheet, that the revised one on the back, the motion. And the first motion, if you see, is Article 9. It's moved and seconded that $8,144,390 is appropriated for account 4400 Water and Sewer Enterprise, of which $1,133,670 is for personal services. Other expenses, $6,918,720. Excuse me? I don't know, but it's 8114. And 6918 to 720 for other expenses, 62,000 for equipment, and of which 5,007,893 comes from water and sewer receipts, 232,000 from retained earnings, and $4,002,074 from property tax levy in accordance with Chapter 110 of the Acts of 1993. This is a majority vote. Any discussion? Any presentation? Any recommendation from the town manager or the finance committee?
This is a level services budget. Revenue for the fund is expected to remain flat. It's the fourth year in a row retained earnings will be used to help fund the budget. Let's see, direct expenses are growing at 1%, and we'll need to appropriate the AWA from retained earnings in the fall.
Thank you very much. Mr. Howard?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Manager supports, board supports. One notation that the board would want to call to the body's attention is retained earnings are used to make this budget balance. There has been no rate increase for going on 6 or 7 years. It may be something that has to be considered at a later date, but just a note of caution.
Thank you, sir. This is a majority vote, folks. All those in favor of this motion under Article 9, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Article 10. To see if the town will raise and appropriate money from available funds, sums of money to defray the expenses of the rec department. And the motion is on the back of the yellow sheet, and it's moved and seconded that $1,468,100 is appropriated for the Recreation Enterprise Fund, of which $901,000 is for personal services, $567,100 is for other expenses, and $0 is for equipment. $1,585,000 will come from the recreation program receipts, and $149,324 from the town's tax levy. Any comments?
The Finance Committee accepted the town manager's budget for recreation. This budget is particularly challenging to forecast as it is weather dependent and varies quite a bit from year to year. In FY13, as in FY12, the department will require an additional appropriation to cover expense overages. In both years, the enterprise had, or is expected to have, increased revenue to offset these expenses. Article 11, the next article, seeks to appropriate the funds to support the requested expense levels for FY13. The requested FY14 budget appropriation falls between the current and revised FY13 budget levels and will require a general fund subsidy of $169,000. No. No, that's the wrong year. Let me see, it's in the typical range. Of note, the town plans to hire an additional FTE in order to directly run more programming instead of relying so heavily on contractors. This will allow the town more control over programming and will allow the rec department to keep the proceeds instead of distributing most of them to subcontractors. The Finance Committee believes further analysis of the profitability of specific program offerings would be helpful. A coordinated effort with the school committee and administration is required as the schools control the current and potential future recreation facilities.
Okay. Mr. Howard?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Manager supports, board supports, call everyone's attention to the obvious point that Ms. Cluey just touched upon, $149,000 in budget subsidy to the Recreation Department, approximately 10%. With the difficulties of forecasting, as Ms. Cluey also noted, from year to year, 2 years into the stabilization fund, we'll continue to look for the equilibrium. But we support.
Further on the question? All those in favor of the main motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. We turn now to Article 11. To see if the town will vote to increase the 2013 Recreation Enterprise Fund to reflect increased costs and revenues. There are 3 motions here. It's moved and seconded that the Recreation Department Enterprise Fund appropriation for fiscal year 13 personal services be increased by $80,161 and other expenses be increased by $167,582. Is this the town manager's presentation or a finance committee? They're both sponsors. Mr. Howard.
Thank you.
You can speak to all 3 motions if you wish.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Same points, just extended backwards here from fiscal 2014 to our current year, 2013. As Patty had mentioned in her remarks, we get to this point each year where revenues and expenses begin to kind of calibrate, and we realize that we need some additional funding in order to make the overall budget balance. The good news is that, as again Patty mentioned, that revenues exceed expenses on the annualized basis. However, the budgeting benchmarks are a little bit off. This will correct it for the year and will be supported out of anticipated revenues.
Thank you, sir. Finance Committee?
We recommend favorable action.
Okay, you ready for the question, ladies and gentlemen? It's moved and seconded that the Recreation Department Enterprise Fund appropriation for fiscal year 2013 personal services be increased by $80,161 and other expenses be increased by $167,852. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. The second motion, it's moved and seconded that the final Recreation Enterprise Fund appropriation for fiscal year 2013 is $1,596,730, of which personal services is $948,422, and other expenses are $648,307. And further, that the final indirect cost appropriation allocated to the Recreation Fund from the general fund at the Fall 12th town meeting for fiscal year 2013 is $276,016. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. And one final motion on that article. It's moved and second that the final Recreation Enterprise Fund appropriation for fiscal year 2013 be funded as follows. $1,683,488 from recreation program receipts, $20,182 from the general fund transfer in, and $169,116 from retained earnings. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. That brings us to Article 12. This is a Capital Planning Committee article to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum money for the gas conversion at the middle school. I'm sorry. It's moved and seconded, and this motion is on page 42 in the book. It's moved and seconded that $236,391 is appropriated for the gas conversion at McCall Middle School, consisting of the installation of piping in the school building on the school property and on other costs incidental related thereto, and that this appropriation shall be raised by transferring $236,391.22 of unexpended bond proceeds as set forth below, for which the projects are complete and for which no liability remains. That the town manager is authorized to have oversight of said projects, and that in accordance with Section 4.2 of the Winchester Home Rule Charter, the town manager shall have the authority to enter into contracts and approve payments with respect to said project. And then the text goes on, as you can see in the on your warrant, that covers the projects, two projects, the McCall Middle School and the DPW, referencing the bond, date of the bonds, town meeting vote, and the amount. Chair recognizes Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and good evening, everybody. Capital Committee and Board of Selectmen supports the conversion of McCall Middle School from an oil heating system to a dual conversion heating system, primarily using natural gas. This is a split between the national grid and the town of Winchester. I'd like to comment on staff's done a lot of work to get National Grid to pay for the pipeline coming up. Originally, that was an expense required by National Grid to the town, but with the work of town staff, they talked National Grid into paying for the gas line. The town of Winchester will pay for the installation of the gas line from the exterior wall to the boiler and to convert the furnace from an oil to a natural gas dual system. It is anticipated a cost of about $230,000. We anticipate a $70,000 a year annual savings, which is approximately 3.3 year payback. National Grid will pay for the infrastructure, as said, at a cost of about $120,000. We ask for your favorable action on this. We are moving forward to try to save money in the energy budget. With the help of the Energy Committee, we are saving money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. May we have a recommendation from the Finance Committee?
The Finance Committee recommends favorable action on this project, which will allow budgetary cost avoidance in FY14 and beyond and quickly pays for itself.
Gentleman in the back row there, sir.
Jim Ferguson, Precinct 4. Earlier we had a cost savings of a gas boiler in a different school, and we used some of that money to pay into the capital savings fund or building stabilization fund. Is there any plan to use the $70,000 a year savings other than back into general revenue?
Ms. Cleary.
No, there is not. That's a good question. That was a big project, and there were a number of alternatives. And so there was a desire to give the Capital Planning Committee an incentive to choose one project versus another, but that was not needed this time around.
Further on the question, are you ready for the question, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, the question comes on the main motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, majority vote required. Okay, one more capital planning article on Article 13. It's moved and seconded that the town appropriate $198,000 for the investigation and evaluation of the gatehouse and low-level outlet at the South Reservoir Dam, and the rest of the motion reads as is printed on page 44. And this project, ladies and gentlemen, requires a 2/3 vote. Mr. Johnson.
Good evening again. Thank you for your time and patience. As you are aware, Winchester has 3 reservoirs that were built in the 1800s. In about 1990, we built a water treatment plant. A gatehouse is a very important and crucial part of our reservoir system. The gatehouse on the South Reservoir holds raw water intake from the water treatment plant and allows us to empty out the reservoir as our low water cutoff. The South Reservoir Dam is categorized as a high potential hazard. As you see here, the 3 reservoirs. We have the north, middle, and lower. They all feed downhill. The South Reservoir basically feeds in the treatment plant, and it goes back into the gatehouse. The gatehouse allows us to exit or empty out oil. I'm sorry, wrong business. Empty out oil, empty out the water in case of an emergency, and mix it. If you're familiar, what I'm saying is this pipe runs downstream, very similar to Horn Pond. This will allow the town of Winchester to fix an inoperable valve and allow us to lower water levels in case of high water levels in case of emergency. It's a 38-inch diameter pipe, and presently it's just inoperable. Primary investigation started in 2012 and include underwater exploration and inspection of the gatehouse. Video inspection of this 30-inch pipe was made. It is recommended for rehabilitation of the existing 30-inch low water outlet pipe and control mechanism. This is a capital request for final investigation, engineering design, and permitting. It's approximately $198,000. We'll be coming back hopefully next year for a request for construction funds. Thank you.
We have a recommendation from the Finance Committee.
The Finance Committee recommended favorable action. The town is required by law to have a means to lower the reservoir.
Carl Frizel, and then this gentleman here again. Carl?
It's a lot of engineering information for those of us who are engineeringly challenged. Is the bottom line, I think I'm hearing from the Finance Committee, this is a mandate, state law, and are we saying we can't really properly, under state law and regulations, operate our water treatment plant without doing this? So this is just like a necessary repair, period.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Mr. Frizel, it is a necessary repair required by DEP to address water safety issues.
Further on the question? Yes, sir.
Roger Wilson from Precinct 1. Through you to Mr. Johnson, how long has this valve been inoperable?
Gentleman's question, how long has this valve been inoperable?
Too long. It's been inoperable, we think, since the 80s, mid-80s. DEP said we had to fix it. Staff has decided that it's a priority to fix, and that's why we're going forward to fix it.
Further on the question? Are you ready for the question? 2/3 vote required. All those in favor of this motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. That brings us to Article 14, the School Committee to appropriate money for the conversion of the current administration space at, I'm sorry, I haven't got enough room up here with this So I lean over here to read, excuse me, to see if the town will vote to appropriate or transfer a sum of money for the purpose of converting the current school administration office space at the Lynch School to classrooms, and further to install air conditioning in those spaces at the Parker School where the administration is going to go to. So it's moved and seconded that $80,000 is appropriated for converting the current school administrative office space at the Lynch Elementary School to classrooms and other instructional space, to install air conditioning to those spaces at the Parker School that will serve as office and workspace for the school administration office personnel, and for design and planning costs relative thereto, and to meet this appropriation, $880,000 to be transferred from the fiscal year 2013 education budget account 3110, and that the DPW Facilities Department and School Superintendent are authorized to have oversight over the project, that in accordance with Section 4.2 of the Winchester Home Rule Charter, the town manager shall have the authority to enter into contracts and approve payments with respect to said project. The chair recognizes the school committee again. Yes, sir. This requires a majority vote.
Once again, Mr. Moderator, if we may, can we acknowledge the superintendent?
Yes.
Speak to this.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This article will provide the funding necessary to construct 3 additional classroom spaces at Lynch School, along with additional specialist staff instructional space. The enrollment at Lynch School will increase from 360 students to over 400 students for the next school year as a result of redistricting. In turn, the school administration offices will be relocated to the first floor of the Parkhurst School. The conversion of administrative space at Lynch to instructional space will be accomplished by remodeling the current office space. School department has been working with the DPW Facilities Department in developing an estimate for the necessary work. And this work will be performed by a combination of in-house staff and outside contractors. We have been working on an estimate. The estimate for the Lynch School conversion of office space to instructional space is $53,450, and the cost to provide the air conditioning for the central office staff at Parkhurst, of which there are 14 full-time staff and 3 technical staff, for a total of 17 who will be working there throughout the summer months. That cost is approximately $20,000 to $22,000. We're able to provide the funding for this project out of our current year's budget because there were 2 teaching positions that were funded in FY13, the current year's budget, that we didn't have to utilize in the end. So that money had been set aside. School committee has not planned on using that money, and we think this is an appropriate use, an appropriate one-time expenditure for that money that is in the current year's budget. The school committee did a similar project and funded it in the same way back in 2009 when town meeting appropriated about $146,000 from the FY9 school committee budget to do a space reconfiguration project at Morocco School, where we added 2 additional classrooms by converting internal space and moved and relocated the main office at the Morocco School. That was a very, very successful project, and we anticipate that this project will be as successful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May we have a recommendation from the Finance Committee?
The Finance Committee supports the funding mechanism as articulated by Bill, using current savings in this year to fund changes for the next school year. However, we do recommend unfavorable action on the article due to uncertainty around the costs of making the Parkhurst School a viable space for the administration. The proposed $20,000 in spending to move Parkhurst seemingly does not consider the recent Massachusetts Architectural Access Board's denial of a waiver to permit the use of the space without modification. A hearing is scheduled in June. It's possible that bringing the building to code would require significant additional funds. However, we do not know how much money nor the funding source. Finance Committee certainly agrees that space must be made available at Lynch to accommodate additional redistricted students. But in our opinion, the schools have not considered all of their options. We encourage the school committee and the school department to consider alternatives, to find additional space at current school facilities, at the Vincent Owen School, which has unused classroom space, or via rented office space. Other options can meet the needs of redistricting and would prevent further fines or costs associated with moving into the non-compliant Parkhurst School. If the move goes forward and it's not in compliance, fines would be $1,000 a day. We could argue that the school's plan to move to Parkhurst and operate a school building for 17 people does not fully utilize this asset, and we reiterate our request that the schools develop a comprehensive facilities plan that will address the use of the Parkhurst School, the Mystic School, the Carriage House, and extra classroom space at the Vincent Owen School.
Thank you. Further on the question, Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Management supports the good forward thinking, even on a short-term basis, by the school committee. For a very small price, they're able to do two things at once, and we believe the expenditure is appropriate, even taking into account the state regulatory decision that still has to be rendered regarding the building. We are working on that issue with legal counsel and believe the expenditure is in order.
Okay. Did you have a comment, Mr. Welch?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. First, I understand the Finance Committee's concern, but I want to assure the Finance Committee and the members of this town meeting that their concern is not, it's unfounded. And I want to explain why, because it's important for you to understand the history. When this town voted for the override for Vincent Owen School, the question of what would be used as swing space came up. And in the process, we had Parker School, which was in terrible condition. As a matter of fact, it was not even insurable as a building. So it was good planning to use Parkhurst for swing space. And since it was in deplorable condition, most of the money that was put aside to make it a usable swing space was repairs. But there was one section of the Architectural Barrier Board regulations that was considered, and the interpretation, unfortunately, was decided incorrectly. That section was that if you were spending more than 30% of the assessed value of the building for your repairs, you fell under the jurisdiction of the Architectural Access Barrier Board. Now, assessed value of the Parkhurst School, as you know, I mean, it's kind of like an open question. What is the assessed value of the Parkhurst School back when they were doing this? Because it's a municipal building, and we don't really assess our buildings that way. But at any rate, the decision was made to go ahead and not ask for a waiver. And the building was occupied for 2 years. And sometime in March of this year, a complaint was filed because the town had not filed for a waiver. And I was tasked by the superintendent of schools, the town manager, and the school committee to look into it. And after a long investigation, assisted by a consultant who I hired, who helped the town write the transition plan, the new transition plan 2 years ago, I came to the conclusion that the town should have filed for a waiver, and the proper cure for this was to file for a waiver. And in fact, we filed for a waiver for the period of time between the time it was first occupied by the children to the end of this school year. And in the process of doing that, we went on, and because we wanted to be perfectly clear that it wasn't going to be used as a school after June of this year, that in fact the plan was to use a fully accessible floor for office administration. The other 2 floors would be closed to the general public, which in fact removes this from the jurisdiction of the Architectural Access Barrier Board, just so you know. But at any rate, I think our attempt to make a full disclosure confused them rather than elucidated what we were doing. So they came back with a decision which says, we want you to come to a hearing because we view that you haven't proved that the cost of compliance is excessive without substantial benefit to a person with a disability. Now, when you think about that, this school is going to be closed in June. The cost of compliance is $160,000. There's been no child who has been hurt by the 2 years this place has been in operation. No member of the staff, no member of the general public. So I'm hard-pressed to figure out why the cost of compliance is not, at this point in time, a substantial benefit to anybody with a disability. This is so what I suggest to you is that this has absolutely nothing to do with the move of the administration. I have had 2 consultants, one who as late as today went through the building and tells me that the administration space that they're going to occupy is going to be fully accessible. I have talked to the building facilities manager, the superintendent of schools, the members of the school committee, and the town manager, and have been assured that the other two areas in the school will not be accessible for the general public, and therefore I am firmly of the opinion that any attempt by the Architectural Barrier Board to thwart the efforts of the school committee to use this space would be arbitrary, capricious, and without a rational basis, and subject to appeal to Superior Court.
Further on the question? Are you ready for the question, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, Mr. Friesel.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I guess this is addressed to perhaps our town council, who's rather definitive and certain about the outcome on this matter. But are we saying 2 things? First, that this is $20,000 spent and no other money will be necessary in order to occupy that space by the administration, and that the administration intends to stay there? Because one of the concerns I heard from the Finance Committee is things are rather fluid. So have things become less fluid? They're going to stay there, and the only potential impediment is this arbitrary and capricious ruling that we will go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court to reverse if we have to, I suppose. But town council believes we won't have to go that far.
Town meeting will be in order. Thank you. Further on the question, ladies and gentlemen? Pardon?
It's 20,000, and it's 20,000. It's going to, and they're going to remain there. That we're not throwing our money away. $20,000 for the move here, and that's where they're going to remain. And it really, all the potential terribles from the Finance Committee are really very remote.
There are 2 parts to that answer. The first part, excuse me, in terms of preparation cost or any kind of alterations or work being done to that building, the answer is no. All we're looking for is some funding to provide air conditioning for the summer months. There will be some operating costs, the cost of electricity, the cost to heat the building, the Finance Committee has a estimate of that. I think it's fair to say there's been a little bit of a dispute between the school administration and the Finance Committee on what that cost will be. But if the Finance Committee wants to share, I'm sure they will. In terms of the, and then there is a question about the cost of custodial services. The Vincent Owens School funded, you funded earlier the DPW Facilities Department budget, which includes an additional custodian for the larger Vincent Owens School that will open in September. Currently 2 full-time custodians. There will be a 3rd full-time custodian at that school. It is likely, and the plan is, that that custodian will spend maybe a quarter of their time, maybe 10 hours a week, if that, at the Parkhurst School. So those are the only additional costs.
Further on the question? Yes, sir.
Hi, Bob Kuszewski, Precinct 5. I have a question about the long-term costs of this, some of the hidden costs. I think we talked a little bit about the heating costs. I'd love to hear the Finance Committee's thought of what the costs are. But I also am interested in what are the costs with the loss of this swing space. If we can't use this swing space for a future Morocco project or a high school project, how much more expensive do those projects become? Thank you.
Very good. Finance Committee? Ms. Cluey?
So we estimated about $60,000 to operate Parkhurst. It's about $35,000 of energy costs and a quarter of a custodian with benefits, and then some extra operating expenses. You know, you could say 55 if you wanted to, but it's in that ballpark. In terms of the other part of your question, that was why we thought this should be part of a facilities plan that made sense in light of what was happening at the high school and beyond.
Yes, sir. Mr. Conti.
Moderator, to Town Council, could you elaborate? You mentioned that a complaint had been made concerning the accessibility of the space, and I wonder if you could elaborate on that, as you indicated that there's been no harm, yet a complaint has been filed, and I'm wondering what the the genesis of that complaint might have been if there was no harm.
Okay, Mr. Welch, on the complaint, the details of the complaint filed.
I am told that the complaint was filed by a member of the MABB staff who filed a complaint.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
A member of the MABB staff filed a complaint. It was not filed on behalf of any child who attended the school or any parent who had children in the school or any employee of the town or any person who visited the school. It was a member of the Massachusetts Architectural Barrier Board staff.
Okay, further on the question. Yes, sir.
I think we need to remember the core of this is achieving 3 new classrooms at the Lynch School. We need the classroom space. It is one of the cheapest ways we've ever found classrooms. When we've put in portables in the past, they're $250,000 per classroom. This for $60,000 total will achieve 3 classrooms. The administration moving to Parkhurst is freeing up this space to achieve that, right? Their situation there, the cost for electric or heat, it's spent somewhere. If they move to any other location, including private space in town, there's still going to be costs for that. So you have to be careful, sure of what we're looking at. It's the need for those 3 classrooms that's driving all the activity.
Thank you, sir. You ready for the question, ladies and gentlemen? Question comes on the main motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. I'd say the ayes have it. Okay, the ayes have it. No complaints. Thank you very much. Article 15, to see if the town will raise and appropriate sums of money to be used with other monies allotted to the county commissioner. It's moved and seconded that the town be authorized to accept and expend funds from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts State Highway Fund for maintenance, repair, alteration, relocation, and other improvements to townways and/or purchase of equipment, acquisition of easements, and payments of damages and expenses in connection therewith, and to authorize the transfer and use for said purposes of any unused balance. Chair recognizes Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is the annual Chapter 90 allocation that comes in from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Mass Highway, and Department of Transportation. And this is the preliminary indication of what the town will receive and expend over the course of 2014. So we support the motion.
Finance Committee?
The Finance Committee recommends favorable action.
Further on the question. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. And we'll close with the Article 16. It's moved and seconded that the town continue a revolving fund for the Archival Center in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E1/2, in order to receive monies, grants, and gifts and fees associated with the sale of reproductions of historical items. The funds derived from the sale of such items be expended by authorization of the town manager, and that amount of that fund will be limited to $5,000. Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. For Articles 16 through 20, I would refer the town meeting membership to pages 24 through 28 in the Finance Committee's budget book. But on this one in particular, Mr. Moderator, we support for archival purposes the proposed outlay as identified in Article 16.
Thank you. Finance Committee?
The Finance Committee recommends favorable action.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. If I could make an announcement now before we break up. Two things. One, the Thursday proposition is there'll be no meeting on Thursday because that's a Hall of Fame dinner. So every year we skip that Thursday. So the next meeting will be when we adjourn. We'll adjourn to next Monday at 7:30. And just so everybody has got a handle on how long this is going to take, I would estimate we'll start with the 17th, and we should finish the annual town meeting a week from Monday. And my suspicion is we'll probably be out before the recess. So it should be, if everybody will be prepared to go all the way through and finish the town meeting, meaning the various people in the articles. Okay, it's moved and seconded that the meeting be adjourned until next Monday at 7:30. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries.